Hi Year 6, Mr. A here again, and in today's literacy lesson we're going to be doing some more reading. And as you know, I'm quite keen on history, historical figures, people that were influential in our past. So today we're going to have a look at somebody else, and this text is going to be about a gentleman called Mahatma Gandhi. So let's find out a little bit more, shall we? Okay then, so our success criteria for this lesson is to recognise and look for key words from the question in the text to help form your answer. Alright, we've got that you're going to provide text evidence examples and specific details to support your response to questions about the text. Sounds like a right mouthful of posh words, that does, but all it means is that you're going to take information from the text to back up your idea. So if it asks you to think about something or explain, you're using evidence from the text to back up your reason. Alright, so our today's target is I can answer questions relating to a text that I have read, and that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to read it. Mahendra Karamchand Gandhi, a bit of a mouthful, but I think I got there, was born on the 2nd of October 1869, so a long time ago. He was born in Porbandar, Gujarat, northwest India. His father was the chief minister of Porbandar and his mother was highly religious. She worshipped the god Vishnu, but also believed Jain teachings, which taught people about not causing injury to living things. Gandhi was part of the privileged caste and he received a good education. The young man. He began studying at a college in the University of Bombay. However, Gandhi was not very happy at college. So when he was offered the chance to study law in London, he took it. He worked hard and began to study all religions. Until this time, he had never really been interested in religion. When he returned to India, he found it hard to find work, so eventually took a job in South Africa for a year. Gandhi was horrified at the way people that were not white were treated. On one occasion, Gandhi was removed from a train even though he held a valid ticket because he was not white. Another time, he was asked to remove his turban by a European magistrate in court. He refused and left the courtroom. This was called apartheid. And there's the college in Bombay. Did you know that apartheid is an Afrikaans word that means status of being apart? In real life terms, it meant that white people were treated a lot better than black or Asian people. There were even shops that non-whites weren't allowed to go in. That's terrible. Gandhi and the people. Gandhi started a political movement called the Natal Indian Congress. He believed in non-violent political protests. A protest is when someone stands up against something they do not agree with and brings attention to it so that others might get involved. This meant that he could encourage protesting in a peaceful, safe way. He did not want people to get hurt. He just wanted the authorities to take notice of what life was like for people who were not white. He returned to India in 1916 and was horrified to find how oppressed the Indian people of Bihar were. Oppressed means put down, told what they have to do. Kids in school probably think they're oppressed by the teachers. The people of Bihar were by the white British masters. He began to encourage people to stand up for themselves and their rights in peaceful protests and strikes. The people were grateful somebody was interested in their situation, and he began known as Mahatma, which means the great soul. Famous Gandhi. Gandhi's fame began to spread. Indian people saw him as their voice for freedom and fairness. He started a boycott of buying British foods. When you boycott something, it means you don't do it, you don't use it, you don't buy it. Okay, we're not going to use that because it's coming from you. This meant he encouraged people not to buy British goods. This led to his first arrest, and on the 2nd of March 1922, he was put into prison for 2 years. Gandhi went on many hunger strikes to bring attention to the unfair treatment of people at the hands of the British. when he was released, he began a campaign to end the British rule over Indian people. The British began to realise that a lot of people agreed with Gandhi, and they were worried there could be a war. So they agreed to make some changes and improve the lives of some of the poorer people. Gandhi was arrested a number of times because he encouraged people to stand up to the government. Some people also tried to kill him. One man in particular tried and eventually succeeded. Nathuram Godse. I think that's how you pronounce it. Gandhi died on his way to a prayer meeting on the 30th of January 1948. He was shot 3 times in the chest. Now then, it's over to you, Year 6, to answer some questions. If you want to refresh your memory, I know I do quite often. If I read something, especially late at night when I do a lot of reading, I can read a page and don't take all the information in, so I have to read it again. So if you want to, before you start answering these questions, you can always go back and read or listen to it again before you have a go at the questions. Either way, good luck. Okay, Year 6, this question asks, what did the Jain teachings tell people about how they should treat living things? Okay, so to decide what keywords you're looking for from the question that you might find in the text, and there's a very obvious one in there, but then I want you to scan read the text again. You might need to read it more thoroughly because there's some unfamiliar words in there, and then I want you to have a go at answering the question in a complete sentence. So pause the video now for me. Okay, what did you decide was your key keyword that you were going to look for within the text? I would have gone for Jain. Okay, so there I would have found Jain as I scan read the text. Okay, and to word my answer, let's have a go at writing it down. So Jain teachings taught people not to cause injury to living things. I'm just still trying to get used to writing with my pen. That doesn't need to usually do on the board. But don't forget, capital letter, full stop at the end of the sentence. Okay? So Jain teachings taught people not to cause injury to living things. If you got that, well done. For our next question, it asks, when did Gandhi become interested in religion? Okay, so think about which word you're going to use as your key word to try and find in the text, and then have a scan read through. Pause the video now for me and answer in the complete sentence. Okay, did you manage to find it then? Right. Let's have a look. What keyword were you going for when you were looking in the text? I would have probably gone for the actual word religion itself. And so there's a couple of places where it crops up. Religions and religion. Okay, so you'd have been looking around this area in your text to try and work out your answer. Okay. And for an answer, I would have gone for, in a complete sentence, I would have said Gandhi's, sorry, go back, Gandhi, not Gandhi's. I was going to put Gandhi's interest, but I want to put Gandhi first became interested in religion when he was studying where? That's right, in London. Don't forget capital letters and full stops. And don't forget, London is the name of a place, so we need a capital letter for that. Hopefully you did okay on that one, guys. Okay, so this question says, why do you think Gandhi was upset by apartheid? Now, this question, you can't copy a section of the text. It says, why do you think? So what we're doing here is we're looking at the experiences, or some of the experiences that Gandhi had that made him feel the way he did. All right, so you've got to think about this one a bit more carefully. So have a go at the question, write it in your own words, and pause the video now for me. Right, let's see what you guys have done. I've got a couple of answers that I think are acceptable, reasonable answers that will get the question right. So first of all, I'm going to go with, let's just get on my pen. It's asking you what you think, so I'm going to start off with I think Gandhi, and I think I ought to put my glasses on because I'm writing too close to the board. Bear with me, kids. Everything's going a bit blurry. Where were we? I think Gandhi was upset because I've taken the words from the question to formulate my answer by apartheid because he was Indian and being treated differently. Yeah, so we can go, we can refer to when he was removed from a train, even though he got a ticket, he was treated differently to other people. Then or we could have, let's put or again, like we did that. There we go. Or that's my blue. I think Gandhi was upset by apartheid because he knew it was so unfair. I hope I can get all this on, kids. Unfair that people were treated differently just because of the colour of their skin. Which there is it? Shall I do T-H-E-I-R or shall I do T-H-E-R-E? That's right, it belongs to them, doesn't it? So it's T-H-E-I-R, their skin. And don't forget that full stop. Right, so there's a couple of different answers. They mean the same thing, they're just worded differently. So if you've got something along those lines, then you've got that correct. All right, well done. Right, now, what you're expected to do in this one is explain in your own words. That's not copying everything out of the text. Explain in your own words what apartheid was some information on this page, but it's what we've read already as well. So in your own words, you're going to say what apartheid was. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay, how did we get on then? I'm going to write down, I think, a couple of different ways of answering this. Okay, so yours is going any acceptable, reasonable answer. Right, we'll get this right. Let's have a look though. A couple that I thought about. Let's get my pen first. So let's go for apartheid was when white people were treated better than non-white people. Or you could, another one, let's change the pen, let's put or, no, that's that one. Apartheid was when non-white people were not allowed to do things or go to the same places as white people could. Okay, so if you've got a sentence along those kind of lines, either of those, then you would have that correct. All right. Our next question asks, what sort of protests did Gandhi encourage people to carry out? What sort of protests did Gandhi encourage people to carry out? So decide what key word from the question you're going to look for as you're scanning through the text to find the information. Okay, pause the video now for me. Okay, what sort of protest then? What key word were you going for out of the text? Out of the question that you were going to look for in the text? I think I would have been looking for protests. So as I'm scanning through, there's that word protests. It's at the end of a sentence, so I'm going to look back now into the text. So we're going to give an answer of, don't forget to use the words from the question to help you answer. So we're going to put Gandhi encouraged. We shouldn't have any problem with the spelling on encourage because the word encourage is in the question. Encouraged people to carry out non-violent political protests, which is how all protests should be carried out, in my opinion. Right, hopefully you got that bit of information out of the text, guys, and managed to turn it into a complete sentence. So the next question, I want you to tell me what the Indian people think of Gandhi. Okay, so You can find this information from the text, and there's a couple of keywords I'd be looking for from the question in the text to help you answer your question. All right, press pause on the video now. Okay, right, what were, let's find my highlighter, what were the two words? There we go, I'd have gone for Indian people, and then as I'm scanning through the text, there we have Indian people. So I'm looking at the sentence that surrounds that to formulate my answer. And let's get the right pen, otherwise I'm going to try and write in highlighter, which would not be good. And I would say in my answer, the Indian people, notice I've used a capital letter for Indian, right? The Indian people liked Gandhi and Gandhi. I've spelt that wrong. It's a good job I reread my text. It's because I haven't got you lot here to point it out to me and say you spelled that wrong. Gandhi, get it right this time. And they saw him as their, got the right there again, their voice of, what did it say in the text? Freedom and fairness. In fact, I'm not going to put of, it was for, wasn't it? Oops, no, that wasn't selected in the right. I'm doing well, you can tell I'm getting near the end. As their voice for, try again, for freedom and fairness. Because all the words that you need there are within the text of the question. We shouldn't have any spelling mistakes, should we? Nope. Okay, hopefully you got that okay. Well done. Okay, this question is saying, explain why you think, there's that I think again, why you think the British masters disliked Gandhi. I'll explain why you think the British masters disliked Gandhi. So from the text that we've read, why do you think they didn't like him? Okay, pause the video now and write it down in your own words for me. Okay, again, I think I've got a couple of ideas that I'm going to write down here that hopefully you'll have written something like it. Okay, it hasn't got to be word for word the same, but something like what I've written down. So I'm going to put, I think the British masters, those were the people that were ruling ruling India at the time that Gandhi was alive. I think the British masters disliked Gandhi because he was, what word can I use there? Encouraging again. Encouraging people. Remember, he was trying to get people to do non-violent protests. So he's getting people to stand up for themselves. And this caused problems, didn't it? This caused problems for the British. Because they were getting the Indians to do all the work for them, very poor people working for nothing. So Gandhi was really, really put out by the way they were being treated. So he was getting them to stand up for themselves. So it was their country after all. Well, or another way of putting it, let's think. I think the British masters disliked, that's a word from the question, isn't it? Disliked Gandhi because he was very popular, wasn't he? So many people, they agreed with him. Oops. That isn't I honest. With him. And they were worried, the British were worried that, oops, the pen didn't catch up then, guys. I was writing nothing. Try again. That they're worried that it might start a war, or you could put a revolution, because it's their country after all, so they were taking back their rights. Okay, two ideas, two different ways of putting it down. Hopefully you've got something along the lines of what I've written. Okay, when it asks you to think about something and put it in your own words, what do you think? It is a little bit more difficult because you're not just taking information out of the text. Okay, our final question on this comprehension. What changes did the British masters make because of Gandhi's protests? Okay, what changes did they make? Think about what key words you're going to look for in the text. Okay, pause the video now then. Okay, the word that I would have looked for is changes. Okay, and have we got changes in our text? First paragraph, there we go. So how can we word this into an answer? So I'm going to go for use the words from the question, the British masters. Sounds like a golf competition, the Masters, doesn't it? Not that I know anything about golf. The British masters made some changes and improved the lives of some of the poorer people. Okay, so you're able to lift that information straight from the text. So I think you should have got that one okay. Well done, a very good comprehension. So in this lesson, you've learned to recognise and look for keywords from the question and text to help form your answer. You've provided text evidence, so you've taken information from the text, backed it up in your answer, and for your target, I definitely think you've been able to do that. I can answer questions relating to a text that I have read. Okay, give yourself a self-assessment. Is it a big thumbs up, a big smiley face? Is it a sad face, or is it somewhere in the middle? There are a couple of tricky, I think, what do you think questions in the middle there that sometimes causes problems. All right, but self-assess yourself. It's worth it. And don't forget to share your work with us in school. WhatsApp it, email it, stick it in the post box, but just make sure that if you email it, you put to the year 6 email address and not to me. and if you stick it in the post box, please make sure your name's on it. We need to know who sent it in. Okay, well done.